Dr. Devinder Sharma Garu, a renowned food and trade policy analyst with expertise in agriculture, intellectual property rights, and food security. So he will be speaking on the crucial policy transitions needed to ensure income security for the farmers. Welcome you, sir, and the stage is yours.
The advantage of speaking last is that you don't have the burden to set the agenda of the house. So most of my co-panelists have done the job for me, made it easier for me. So I can go far from where they left. I don't know, कुछ दिन पहले मैंने एक खबर पढ़ी, आपने भी पढ़ी है, but उसमें एक aspect था कि there is something called as fitment factor. There is something called as fitment factor. And somebody asked this question, nobody's income is going up. So I just thought, let me bring up this fitment factor. This fitment factor for quite some time I thought was relevant only for the people who visit the gyms. And I am since not a frequent visitor there. So मैंने कहा मेरे को तो ये effect नहीं होता. But the government has announced the 8th pay commission. In 2026, you will have the 8th pay commission. Applying the fitment factor would mean whether they are increasing your salaries by 2.5 or 2.8 or whatever they are trying to work it out. Now this is the 8th pay commission. We have the 9th pay commission, then we will have 10 years later we have the 10th pay commission. So 10th pay commission will be at the time when we are almost ready with Viksit Bharat. 2047, as you know, is the time for Viksit Bharat. So 2046, we will have a fitment factor at that particular time deciding what will be the employees' salaries. The salary of the PN, the lowest government employee, would be 4.5 lakh per month if you apply the fitment factors. And I think society leaders who are running civil society groups start worrying, because at that particular time when the government employees or the government PNs would be getting a salary of 4.5 lakh, 4.5 lakh only for the chaprasis. I wonder what will be the salary of the bureaucrats. And then similarly you will see a jump in their pensions also. And as was being said earlier, the average daily income a farmer earns only from farming is 27 rupees per day. Now 27 rupees compared to the 4.5 lakh a chaprasi will earn 30 years later, I think should set us very clearly on an understanding whether we would be able to correspondingly see that the income of the farmer will also go up in that same ratio or not, and so on. And yet, believe me, farmers will continue to be blamed that you are responsible for the budget going awry. Farmers will continue to face that. Nobody is going to ever talk about the employee's salary. Is that the biggest problem the country? But I'm saying, please don't think that I don't want employees to get that salary. Please, you should always all be getting a higher salary. But imagine the imbalance it is going to create in the entire society at large at that particular time, not even worrying about it 30 years later, but even in 2026 when the 8th pay commission comes into play. Now, nobody in this country is talking about if farmers ka agar aloo or pyaj ka bhav, if the price of potato and tomato go in the newspapers and media, everyone is happy. But aloo pyaj, oh God, the entire, the country's economy has gone into doldrums, and so we must see that the perspective of looking at the income rise and what should be the farmer's income and so on, without making a comparison, you will never get a picture that you need to. You're very happy. All those who come in the government service would be very happy doing it. I know I was recently in a meeting with the IPS people, the police people, and they were coming to me, sir, look at these Nazaz demands of farmers. Nazaz means they are not acceptable demands of farmers. I said, what is the acceptable, non-acceptable demand of farmers? He said, they are asking for a pension of 10,000 rupees. I said, so where is the money? I said, the same place where you get your 2 lakh rupees pension. You don't want to talk about your pension, 2 lakh rupees, nobody wants to talk about it. But 10,000 rupees किसान ने मांग लिया तो सारा देश का नुकसान हो गया है. This is because this is how we have cast a design. And we are very happy, proceeding in that direction. हम हर बार बोलते रहेंगे कि किसान जो है वो उसको ये नहीं मिलना चाहिए, उसको MSP को कानूनी अधिकार नहीं होना चाहिए. All those things we will talk about. Because why the entire burden would have to be borne by the rest of the society. But just think of it. What a burden, a national burden that the entire country is living with when we try to give a higher salaries to the employees. And don't think Indian employees compared to the global, design or the global, if I look at the national or international, an average that it gets, you will be surprised. The World Bank tells us that Indian employees are the highest paid in the world comparatively. They get 8 times more than the international average. And yet we think, oh no, इनका तो salary और बढ़ना चाहिए. Go on doing it. Have no problems, as I said earlier. But there has to be rationalization someplace and sometime. I am not against the employees को क्यों मिल रहा है, but I am obviously perturbed when I see कि farmers only get 27 rupees a day, and nobody is worried about it. इसीलिए हम कभी when I wrote about it, I said this is one of the topics which the nation had never had an anger on this particular issue. I get a feedback which says, आप इनकी क्यों बात करते हो? Who are pampered, that's the word. They are the people who are pampered. So 100 रुपए भी होता है, कभी 2 रुपए भी होता है, and eventually it is the farmer who ends up with lots of money, and that's imagination. There is also an imagination कि भाई किसान जो है जब प्रोटेस्ट करता है तो उसके ट्रैक्टर जो हैं उस पे 2-2 लाख रुपए के म्यूजिक सिस्टम लगे हुए हैं. So he's so rich, and that is what is visible from the way the tractors go and so on and so forth. So ये मुझे लिखा जा रहा है. And the belief is that, farmers, every other day some government is coming out with scheme A, somebody is coming with scheme B, and farmers are getting all these kinds of benefit for no reason. That's what they say. But when I look at the OECD report, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is the world's richest trading bloc, OECD report, the report says very clearly, between 2000 and 2024, Indian farmers are the only community of farmers globally who have been cultivating losses year after year. This is the OECD report. Please don't blame me. If you want to see the OECD report, just take out the document, go to the site, find out. OECD report tells us that between the year 2000 and 2016, 16-year period, the OECD started evaluating the producer support farmers are given in major economies. So they looked into 54 major economies. And India is among the 3 countries which are in the negative zone. And the other 2 countries are Vietnam and Argentina. And the report tells us very clearly that the countries like Vietnam and Argentina are actually covering up the farmers' losses by way of budgetary support. Indian farmers are the only going to be 45,000 in a year now. I have nothing against the poor chaprasi, but all I am telling you is please try to understand how this entire structure has been laid out and what can we all do in the context. Don't dissociate or don't de-link these 2 aspects and then say कि नहीं agriculture में तो ये technology आएगी, ये scheme आएगी, and so we are going to solve the crisis. No, it is not so. Unless you look at the C of the farmers. Having said this, I think it is also very important to understand that the entire design, if you follow very clearly, it is designed to keep the agriculture or the farmers impoverished. Whether you are in America, whether you are in UK, whether you are in India, farmers. In America, we have hardly 1.5% farmers left. Now we have a one-man WTO, Trump, and Trump will now throw up all those things into disarray in the days to come. But nevertheless, let's try to understand. A lot of people are asking me today, and in fact, the senior bureaucrats of India, remarkable breed, they are saying India should set its house in order. Nobody has the courage to say that America needs to put its house in order. Let me give you one example of cotton. Cotton is a crop which is grown quite, I would say, in an area in Andhra and Telangana. And we normally think cotton farmer, they are backward, substandard, inefficient. But the reality is they are not backward, they are neither substandard. They are being killed because one country is subsidizing cotton to an extent that we can't even imagine. Cotton in America, only 8,000 farmers. 8,000 farmers, cotton growers in America. In India, we have 98 lakh cotton growers. Just to give you a comparison, 8,000 kisan, 98 lakh kisan, India. The land holdings in India, as you all know, we have been saying since morning, 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acres. In America, it is 400 hectares on average. On top of it, American farmers get a subsidy support of $1 lakh plus every year. $1 lakh plus. Indian farmers को subsidy support मिलती है $27. So compare $1 lakh with $27, and that is why our ex-finance minister Kamal Nath had said it at a number of places that I am willing to compete with America or American cotton growers, but I am not willing to compete with American treasury. Because with the Americans subsidizing their agriculture, they need to set their house in order because there is a fortress built around their agriculture. You cannot penetrate that fortress. And then our Indians are telling us कि आप अपना घर ठीक करिए. घर तो तभी ठीक हो जाएगा when we say कि bureaucrats की सैलरी जो है वो भी उसी तरीके से दुनिया में अगर उनको 8 टाइम हाई मिलती है सैलरी तो उसको भी रैशनलाइज करिए, सब कुछ बैठ जाएगा तब. लेकिन नाउ दे नो दे आर द पैम्पर्ड लॉर्ड, दे आर द बॉसेस. अगर हम एमएसपी हम देते हैं व्हीट एंड पैडी पे, और एमएसपी जब आप व्हीट एंड पैडी पे देते हो तो जो प्रोक्योरमेंट आप करते हो इट इज काउंटेड एज सब्सिडी. I don't know why the government employees की सैलरी सब्सिडी क्यों नहीं गिनी जाती. Let's try to understand. Why is it कि फार्मर से हम खरीदते हैं तो वो तो सब्सिडी है, लेकिन जब एम्प्लॉइज को तनख्वाह देते हैं, दोनों में सरकारें दे रही हैं. एम्प्लॉइज की तनख्वाह भी सरकार देती है, और यहाँ भी अगर आप प्राइवेट कंपनी खरीदते हैं तो then it is not considered as a subsidy. बट यहाँ पर भी let us use the same principle. आप गवर्नमेंट की एम्प्लॉइज जो तनख्वाह मिलती है उसको सब्सिडी गिनिए, and then let's go to WTO and see what happens. The point I'm trying to make is हम लोग बड़े होशियार हैं. We have covered our own turf. We don't want anybody to enter into that. We are like Trump. Trump ने अपने एग्रीकल्चर को तो प्रोटेक्ट किया हुआ है, बाकी दुनिया का सारा एग्रीकल्चर गलत है उसके हिसाब से. हमारे भी देश में एम्प्लॉइज की सैलरी प्रोटेक्टेड है, बाकी सब गलत है. Sorry for saying this, but we need to understand where will we start standing up and questioning that system? We don't. Then in Punjab, if you come, paddy is a very big problem in Punjab. You all know that stubble burning भी होती है, paddy का water table has gone down and so on. So we blame farmers for that. Actually, Punjab में तो paddy होता ही नहीं था. Punjab was never growing paddy. It was the agriculture scientists who forced Punjab farmers to go in for paddy. Do they take responsibility now? Not at all. सारा blame farmer पे. तुम जलाते भी हो, तुमने पानी का भी बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया, and so on and so forth we will say. So put all the blame on farmers, and then we say that because he is getting free electricity, so therefore the karza of Punjab has gone up. But do we know that Punjab government employees get 40% higher salary than rest of the country? I don't even know whether we are into 7th pay commission there or not. 40% higher salary. कभी नहीं किसी ने कहा कि पंजाब का कर्जा बढ़ गया because of employees. It is always the poor farmers who can be hounded out on this part के लिए किसान है जो नुकसान कर रहा है देश का. मेरा सबमिशन आपको ये बताने का यही था कि let us try to go in for a rethinking. When I say going for a rethink, you should also have the capacity to stand up and ask a question. आज हमारा ऑफिशियल सिस्टम सारे देश में ऐसा है, कोई साइंटिस्ट, कोई इकोनॉमिस्ट, कोई पत्रकार सवाल पूछने को तैयार नहीं है. We are in that kind of a system. And then we have only sermons for the farmers को आपको ऐसे करना चाहिए, आपको ऐसे करना चाहिए. Everybody, ये सुभाष शर्मा जी बताएंगे, हमें सब आते हैं, आपको सलाह दे जाते हैं कि खेती करनी ऐसी होती है, खेती ऐसे करनी होती है, and so on and so forth. मेरा सबमिशन आप सबके साथ यही है कि अगर हम एग्रो इकोलॉजी में ट्रांजिशन कर रहे हैं, पहली बात तो मुझे आज तक नहीं समझ आई किसको मैं ब्लेम करूं कि हम जब अपना खाद्यान्न पैदा करते हैं देश में, तो हम उसको लिटरली केमिकल्स में डिबो के करते हैं. Whether we are spraying pesticides on crops and the kind of pesticides and the quantity of pesticides, तो हम literally उसको डुबोते हैं पेस्टिसाइड्स में. मैं अभी पीछे कर्नाटका गया तो एक फैमिली ने मुझे इनवाइट किया डिनर पे और उन्होंने बड़े प्राउडली कहा, सर आज आप आए हैं तो आज हम पंजाब की वीट आपको खिलाएंगे. मैंने कहा भैया पंजाब की वीट है तो छोड़ दो, क्योंकि हम जानते हैं पंजाब में हम कितना उसमें केमिकल्स डालते हैं, पेस्टिसाइड्स डालते हैं. आप मुझे यहीं के खिला दो, आई विल बी हैप्पी विद दैट रादर देन गिविंग मी पंजाब वीट. द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज हम लिटरली अपने क्रॉप्स को उसमें डिप करते हैं. एंड देन लुक एट दिस टेक्नोलॉजी. ये साइंटिस्टों को भी जवाब देना चाहिए कभी, क्योंकि हमने पूछा नहीं कभी उनसे. अब जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड क्रॉप्स हैं, पहले तो आप केमिकल्स ऊपर से स्प्रे करते थे, अब तो आप अंदर से भी करते हैं. ये ना जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड क्रॉप्स अंदर टॉक्सिन पैदा करता है, क्रॉप के अंदर भी टॉक्सिन, बाहर भी टॉक्सिन. एंड देन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट न्यूट्रिशन, हेल्थ एंड ऑल फूड सेफ्टी एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. आई डोंट नो, हम ही लोग हैं जो उसमें वी आर वेरी हैप्पी व्हेन वी गेट द पीडीएस ग्रेन यू नो इन आवर बैग. बट द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक, क्यों नहीं हम इस सिस्टम को ठीक कर सकते हैं कि आप देख रहे हैं, आपको दिख भी रहा है, यू कैन सी दैट यू नो दिस इज ए करप्टेड काइंड ऑफ ए सिस्टम. दैट्स व्हाट दे से. Food is in India, if you look at it, or even globally, you know, food is broken. The food system is broken. We all know that. But where are we making an effort to correct it? But don't worry. जो काम आप नहीं कर सके, and give me 2 or 3 minutes more, जो काम आप नहीं कर सकते, वो कंपनियां कर देंगी आपके लिए. Because we are now moving from food security to protein security. Food security is going to disappear from this common parlance in a couple of years from now. It is going to be protein security. Protein security because the companies now realize where the money is. You know, they are also in transition. So, us transition mein they now realize where the money is, and the money will be in protein. If you look at globally today, we should know that now there is a push. जो किसान खेती में रह गए हैं, उनको भी बाहर निकालने का push है. In Holland, which is the second biggest exporter of agriculture, they have 11,000 farms. 11,000 उनके पास खेत हैं, जिसमें से 3,000 farmers have been asked to get out. They have been asked to get out in the name of climate change. So climate change में these 3,000 farmers have been asked to move out. And look at Europe, they have also ensured that these farmers cannot get land anywhere in Europe and start refarming. उसको भी बाहर कर दिया. England is the another country where 5,000 farmers are getting a notice to be out of agriculture. England, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Lindsay, has less than 1% population now in agriculture. And even those farmers are being pushed out. I'm not talking about the inheritance tax, but other parts also. And this is not only confined to England or Holland. Look at New Zealand. New Zealand, as you know, is a country of cows, but because we are being told cows से methane निकलता है, so there is a tax on cows now. Nobody taxes the companies. I have never seen a company or the big corporates being taxed. They are the ones who are actually responsible for global warming, but nobody is taxing them. Poor cow is now being held responsible for the climate change problem हो रहा है दुनिया का. So it's not only even New Zealand, Austria and other countries are also in the same route. And I'm sure one day our government will also start, because we are a great country. We have policy makers who are very good at cut and paste. So whatever they say in America, whatever they say in England, and that includes the scientific community also. Cut and paste किया, यहाँ चिपका दिया. This is a reform for the country, and we are very happy with the new kinds of reforms that are coming in this country. So मेरा submission है इंडिया में भी शुरू हो जाएगा when we have to push farmers out. And now when the question that crops up is no farmer, no food was a big slogan. So they are saying कि अगर no farmer, no food, तो फिर ये कहाँ से food आएगा? Ladies and gentlemen, the world's first food factory which has started operating is in Finland. Last year it started operating. It produces 500 million meals a year without involving farmers or without using land. And that's in a one building. So they use some minerals from the air, and they cross with bacteria and so on, and are producing food for you. And I was looking at the interview of that CEO. You know what he said? He said, we are not manufacturing food. We are in the process of manufacturing land. क्योंकि मैंने तो एक बिल्डिंग नहीं बना दिया सब कुछ. I don't need land, so I am producing land, he says. Very right he is. And he said, this is what the world requires. We need to save biodiversity and blah, blah, blah. So, ज़मीन तो सबसे important है. So, and if you are thinking that Finland is the only country which is still far away, let me tell you, there are 270 companies operating globally. They are producing synthetic food, what you call. And that is protein rich. So, how they are saying protein? Because today the biggest cultivation that is taking place anywhere in the world is actually of insects. Billions of insects are being produced or reared in these factories, which is one building factory. And what they do is now they take out protein out of the insect. So protein say, then they try to do all these arithmetic A logarithm. Sorry for not remembering the word earlier. A logarithm say आपको अब वो protein जो है उससे they will make the food and then come up with that thing to be marketed, and then eventually you will have one film actress in India saying, "Wow, lovely food." And the nation will start eating that food. So we have this, it's very well laid out. So we are moving in that direction where protein, and look at in Holland, there is a very so कहते हैं ना कि बड़ा शरीफ सा एक animal है, sea animal, octopussy. I'm sure you all have seen James Bond ki octopussy, but this is octopussy doesn't disturb anybody. Now Holland is going into farming octopussy, because that is from where they will be extracting protein. And the revolution that we are heading towards now, we are still stuck up. We are a great nation. अभी हम उसमें ही जी रहे हैं. Green revolution, green revolution, green revolution. Go to any university, they go on patting themselves for a green revolution. But now we are entering what is called as agriculture revolution 4.0. Agriculture 4.0 revolution, we are right there at the door. It means you will have tractors which don't have drivers. You will have tractors operating on robots. Robots will not only be doing farming in the field, and don't think it is only something which is for the rich countries. Even a country like Thailand is pumping a lot of government money to see how robots can take care of agriculture. So isko dekhte jaiye aap and look at the kinds of mechanization that is coming up. Everything is getting concentrated in the hands of the neo-rich and the conglomerates and so on, which will decide the government's agenda. There are 68 more billionaires, food billionaires in this world, according to Oxfam's recent report. So that tells us, it's all getting concentrated in the hands of just 68 people across the globe, who are going to decide what are you going to eat, when do you eat, all those things they will lay out for you. So आपको डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. जो आप नहीं काम कर सके वो आपके लिए कर देंगे आने वाले दिनों में. Now, still there has to be some, when we walk out of this hall, or those who are listening to us otherwise, I think we should be very clear that we did not say anything when the green revolution was being imposed on us. We welcome, चाहे आपने हमें केमिकल से डाउज किया है, चाहे आपने फर्टिलाइजर वो सब कुछ किया है, we accepted it. But now the stage is coming again when we are moving into the transition, and everyone is telling us that agroecology is the way forward and so on and so forth, which most of us would tend to agree. But take a call. Take a call. Do you really want safe and healthy food? Or you are happy जो आपको protein का rich food मिलेगा आने वाले दिनों में? It is your call. Let's say 5 years later, if I ever get a chance to come back to CSA for a conference, and at that time, again, if we are talking about healthy food and hollow foods and so on, that we are all worried about today, then I think it is nobody else's fault, it is your fault. When I say it is your fault, क्योंकि आप नहीं बोले, and I think you deserve it. You means you and me. We deserve it. अगर हम नहीं बोल सकते, we don't want healthy food for ourselves, then please let's go to hell. I don't care. But if you really want good food, then I think it is our responsibility to ensure that the next revolution, green revolution जो आएगा, it will be not be driven by the companies, but it should be driven by the consumers. Consumers have a responsibility now. आज तक आपने कुछ नहीं किया, you are only eating जो benefit किसानों ने आपको दिया है. At least for once, at least stand up and say कि this is the kind of food I
Could you
eat.
please conclude?
So my submission is that when we walk out of this, please carry this message forward that the next revolution is going to be by consumers. And if consumers fail, let us continue with this kind of a dialogue for all times to come. But if the consumers succeed, we will be able to stall that protein revolution that they are going to face, or the agriculture revolution 4.0. I think it is a collective responsibility. So all of us, please, let's be sure that instead of accusing government A, government B, or policymakers, or economists, and so on and so forth, take it on you. Take it on you. If you can't get good quality food on our tables, it is your fault. And please accept it कि हाँ मेरी गलती हुई थी, हम ये नहीं कर पाए. But next time, let's not. Bearing with me, and I must also tell you before I go just another acknowledgement. Sometimes back I was traveling in, and I was giving a talk between Edinburgh and Glasgow. At that time, one lady who was there listening to me got up and said, I agree with you, Mr. Sharma, but we have a bulldozer plan. We have a bulldozer operating, and I don't know where should I get the inspiration to stall that bulldozer. I guess she must have thought I'm coming from India, and so I would talk about Mahatma Gandhi and so on. But I must have disappointed her. I said, you don't have to look at inspiration from across the subcontinents. You have to look at inspiration right in your backyard. Try to be a little more careful. I told her that one of the pilgrimage I always ought to do whenever it is possible is when if I am in UK part, I go to Edinburgh. I'm so happy you have come from Edinburgh to Hyderabad. So when I am there, I go to Edinburgh. And the stories should be clear. If you go to the Edinburgh Castle, at the gate of the castle there are two statues, left side, right side. One of these statues is of Robert Bruce. And I always go to pay my pilgrimage or be there to get inspired. Robert Bruce was the gentleman, we have all read the stories when we were a kid, the man who fought 5 times in the war, and then he lost it 5th time. He went into a cave and was thinking that he should give it up now. And then he saw a spider falling 27 times and still getting up and completing the web. And that is where he got the inspiration. And he went back and won. I think that's the kind of pilgrimage which means that we must continue, never give up, continue. I think thanks to Robert Bruce, and I'm sure that kind of vibration that comes from you, Lindsay, is something that I hope people also carry, that we should not give up. Don't give up, don't feel कि नहीं हम तो helpless हैं. You are not helpless, you have everything in you. The only thing is you need to assert yourself and try to build up a narrative that the country requires. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mandy.